Hey, I'm Laurie and welcome back to the Diaries of the Neurospicy Coach. So today I'm going to talk all things competing. A few of you asked for this and asked me to dig into a few things as well. Some of it I have covered in my last podcast, but I will sort of go through it again just so it makes sense in this one. So I have noted down everything that you've all mentioned to me that you'd like me to talk about. So the first things on the list was how I got in. So I did cover this in the first one, so I won't go really in depth. If you do want to listen to that one, it's in episode 1. But I basically got into it just by chance. I was really underweight, struggled with how I looked, struggled with my confidence, started going to the gym, and I met my first bodybuilding coach then. And that's pretty much how I got into that. I trained for like 6 weeks and then obviously won my first show, and that's literally how it happened. There's a little bit more depth than that, but as I said, if you go into the first episode, it's all there for you. And then a few of you asked me about placements as well, because I know a few of you, obviously, being neurodivergent, RSD is a big thing. So obviously if you're going in and you think you're going to do well and you don't do as well as you hope, you can feel really rejected and it might make you be put off competing literally forever. And honestly, if it's something you're passionate about, please stick to it, because yes, I won the overall in the first show I done, but bikini was pretty much like what fit model is now. And as we know, bikini has grown so much since then. But my second show and my third show after that, I came dead last, and it was one of those situations where I was the only one at the back of the stage. So I don't know if you've ever seen a show and it might be like, 5 of you and they place top 4. I was the one standing at the back, right? And I just remember feeling like absolute rubbish. But instead of it like allowing me to like consume me, I was like, I'm just going to try even harder, because I love the journey. Obviously, if you don't love the journey, then it's going to hit a little bit harder, especially if you are somebody who's like, I just want it as a bucket list sort of thing. I'm going to do it once and that's it. Yes, I get how it could hit hard. But if you are generally passionate about, the training side, like the preps and the whole journey, please don't give up, because honestly, like with placements, it's just so, it's a matter of opinion. Honestly, it's a matter of opinion. And sometimes it is luck, is what the judges are looking for on that day. Like you look at all like the bikini pros, none of them look the same. Like none of them look the same. They all have their individual looks and they're all absolutely incredible. So it's literally like comparing apples and oranges. So just because one head judge doesn't like you doesn't mean the next one won't. So as I said, that's when my placements probably started getting better, to be honest. Maybe like the third year in, so it's like, yes, when the overall came last, like the 2 times after that, and then I started getting like third places, and then after that I was like second, and I really did just climb the ladder of going from last, top 3, top 2, first overall, and then the pro card. It literally, that's how the journey has been. And don't get me wrong, even last year I came 4th, like on my journey to winning my pro card. I kept winning, and I came 4th, and it stung. And that's just because obviously if you are going for your pro card, winning is the bare minimum you need to do to obviously get in with the chance of winning a pro card. But it creates character, it really does, right? And it creates you to have thick skin. Another big one was family and partners. Like one of the biggest things I have is like my family's not supportive, my partner's not supportive, and honestly, it's incredibly hard when they don't. So my family really did not want me to do it. And I think it was more from the side of I was already really underweight. And they obviously worried about me. They obviously saw me getting really lean. Looking at obviously how little I was eating at that time, because obviously I was a tiny human. I didn't have much muscle, so I was eating very little. And they panicked, and they honestly made it extremely difficult for me to prep. So they would buy things in the fridge that only I would like jam tarts. If you know, my absolute fave things on it. Anything with jam, yes, please, that's for me. And it was hard because obviously when you're literally dying and you see something that's just delicious, to be honest, on prep, dog food looks delicious, but when you see something you love, it's so hard to like not give in to that. But it wasn't always like, it's not always like that now, because my parents are so supportive. like once they saw me on stage, my dad refused to see me in my first show because it was really local to me. My mum came and my aunties, and my mum sort of seeing like what I did for my confidence, and you know, she obviously saw me not having many friends, not really fitting in anyway growing up. So seeing me looking like I belong somewhere, that's when her opinion changed of it. Because honestly, when I told my mum and my dad, all I looked at it is like, what, you're gonna strut in hooker heels in a bikini on stage? No, thank you. And a lot of people sexualize the sport. So when my mum did come, it was almost like, oh wow, like these girls look incredible. Like it's not sexy at all. It is literally hard work and grind. My dad came around probably like a year later. And he's such an emotional man, but I love him so much. He's an angel. He was like so proud of me, and he was like, wow. And then after that, they've not missed a single show, apart from obviously when I went abroad. So just give people a chance, and you need to remember it's not your responsibility to make someone understand why you're doing this. If you're doing it, make sure you're doing it for you and no one else, because at the end of the day, if their opinion changes, you will stop and you'll regret that. And obviously being neurodivergent, people pleasing is a massive thing. So we really do value other people's opinions, but sometimes it's not the right opinion and it shouldn't define what you do in life, you know? So yeah, families is a massive one. Then community. I was always told that bodybuilding was like an isolated sport, and it is true for the most part. And I think being autistic, I quite liked some alone time, but then it can be lonely. But one of the biggest things I saw that, like in my first show especially, I didn't have a frigging clue. Honestly, I rocked up and these girls are probably thinking, wow, like my shoes didn't fit. I got a wide foot, a very large foot, because I got a flat foot as well, which is delicious. So my shoes did not fit, and honestly, it was like crippled. It was like this in my freaking shoe. I had the wrong tan on. I literally just had a normal spray tan from like a beauty salon down the road from me. My makeup looked stunning off like stage, but on stage, where's the bright lights and things like that, I just washed me out. Had no jewelry, and honestly, like the girls behind stage were literally like, right, you're fine, you know, you need to do this, here's my jewelry. Like the support backstage is like nothing I've ever seen. Of course this is different. Like I find the UK like so supportive. I think honestly the girls who I've met in the UK are amazing. It's a little bit different when you go abroad, and I think it's more so not because people are not supportive, but it's like the language barrier. Like not every athlete's going to speak English, and neither should we expect to. Do you know what I mean? It's very rude for us to, you know, expect people to speak English when we go abroad, you know. But the community is amazing, and my friendship group I have now is all through this sport. Because another thing that people ask me to talk about is like losing friends, and not everyone you lose is a loss, and you have to remember that. But I lost a hell of a lot of friends when I started doing this sport. I remember them just saying to me like, you can't do this forever, like, you know, you're probably not going to, you know, come to anything, like it's a waste of time, what are you doing, you know. And the friendship groups I was in before, they just wanted to party all the time, and I just remember like they made me feel like I was missing out. So then and at the end of the day, it's not their fault. They didn't force me with a gun to my head to go out, you know, but I did because I was a people pleaser. Do you know what I mean? But I just thought, if these were my friends, they would support me and be like, you know, don't worry, my gal, like you've got a few months left and you can just come back and we'll celebrate. It was never anything like that. It was always really negative about what I was doing, where I was going. And as I said, all my friends now are literally like the ones I've met through this journey. And I like to keep, you know, I can count my friends on one hand. Like people always say, I don't belong, or I don't have a massive friendship group, but neither do I want it. I like a peaceful life, you know. But you find when you start changing your ways, you no longer align with those people. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like it doesn't mean you have to have a massive argument with someone, you know. It just means that you've now stopped going out every weekend and you prefer to go to the gym, you know. And people will always have something to say, especially work colleagues as well, you know. Especially if you work in an office, there's always like a box of chocolates or biscuits or something, and they'll always have something to say, like, oh, you're looking really skinny, like this is not healthy. And you're sitting there and you're like, do you know what, Barbara, like you smash a fish and chips every night, you go out on a bender every weekend, and you're talking to me about being unhealthy. Like, sorry, no, so you just, and don't be afraid to say that. Set boundaries as well, like, because I've said that more than once, like, thank you so much for paying so much attention to my life, but you're missing a point. Like, you're very unhealthy, you're overweight. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, I think people think it's acceptable to call somebody skinny, but if you call them fat, oh my God, like the whole world shuts down. Do you know what I mean? And I remember having this conversation. I felt really bad after it, to be honest. If my mum listens to this, I'm sorry. But my mum literally used to say to me all the time, like, you're so skinny, you're so bloody skinny, you look awful. And it really, like, hurt me. And I just said, do you know what? Like, you're really fat. And it was almost like everyone's like, oh crap, like, that was really mean. But I was just like, but what gives you the right to say to me that I'm skinny and I can't say that you're fat? Both are an observation. So why can't I say and you can? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, people will always have something to say. And the best thing ever is just not to argue back and be like, okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you start arguing with people, I feel like that's when they start getting riled up and yeah, they get annoyed. Another thing that people wanted me to talk about was PEDs and blood work, right? So PED should never be taken lightly. Like, if your coach says you need to jump on this, like, please ask the question, because they're illegal for a reason. The reason why I started taking PEDs was because back in my day, and it was my day, it was like 7 years ago now, because I'm freaking getting old, there was no natural shows. There was like maybe like one a year if you were lucky. So if it wasn't the time of year you were prepping, you were literally at a massive disadvantage. And another reason was I was not educated. So when my coach said to me, go on this, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't realise there was any health risks. Like, you trust your coach, so that's where I started being assisted. And even if I didn't want to be assisted now, the rules say you have to wait like 3 years to be natural. I don't want to wait that long. Do you know what I mean? The risk to reward is so much greater for me now, because I wanted to chase my pro card. If you just want to do one show, the risk to reward is so much less. So I wouldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? I would just make sure that you go all your ducks in a row first as well. Like, is your training good? Is your diet plan good? Because again, being ADHD, adhering to a plan is difficult. So yes, PEDs will work really well, but alongside you training hard, alongside a really good diet plan and, supplement guidance and things like that, to make sure you're nice and healthy whilst doing it. Well, not nice and healthy, healthier, like, because at the end of the day, taking PEDs is not healthy, but it's just to support you. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not going to be a magic pill. So yeah, blood work as well is one of the biggest things. And honestly, girls, like, if you are neurodivergent, blood work is everything, because some of you probably know now, if you've been following me for a while, I've got gut issues, and it was crazy to me, obviously, after my prep, my gut was in a really bad place, and my hormones and things are just a little bit out of whack, and how that, like, affects your ADHD symptoms is wild. Like, my recovery was awful, like, my sleep was really bad, my bloating was horrific, my mood was just all over the place, I felt so depressed, and it's just wild. And the one thing I get done now every single year is my blood work, and I'll make sure I'll get it before I start prep, so I have a baseline to look at, and just to make sure I'm healthy as well. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of us are like, oh, it's too expensive. But honestly, girls, like, what's more expensive? Having bloods done, or you get halfway through your prep and you can't prep anymore because your body's not responsive because something's out. Like, that's more painful. I'll promise you that now for free. So I just save up. I use like an app called Plum. The best app in the world. It's an ADHD app, so super easy. Just log into your online banking, and it basically takes up money that you wouldn't miss or you wouldn't see, and then you could just use that then for your blood work, because you don't even know it exists. It's basically free money then. You basically have a free blood test. Girl math. But honestly, it's such an important thing. And if anyone says to me they want to take PEDs, if you can afford PEDs, you can afford to get your bloods done. I will refuse to anyone, especially being neurodivergent, because we stress more. Stress honestly impacts your hormones. Like, it can make you literally delay a cycle, miss a cycle come early, like, it can cause gut issues, causes so much, havoc to our bodies. Like, if anyone who wants to take PEDs and then refuses blood work, I would rather lose them as a client than be the reason that their health is declined and then they blame me for it, because let's be honest, they're going to want to blame someone and it's usually the coach. Do you know what I mean? So if you are thinking about PEDs, please look at like the side effects, everything, because as I said, you can't buy it from a shop for a bloody reason, right? So just make sure you look at it. And if you do, please, like even as a natural athlete, get your bloods done, because building phases put so much stress on the body. Dieting puts so much stress on the body as well. So it's just making sure that you're in a nice healthy place. I tend to get mine like 8 weeks after show. Gives your body a little bit of time to bounce back, because especially if you've lost your menstrual cycle, you don't tend to get your menstrual cycle back. You know, it takes a few months, and then get your bloods done. So yeah, as I said, it amplifies ADHD symptoms, which is not ideal, especially post show, because if your hormones are out of whack, the chances of you binging is going to be a lot greater. The costs as well. So honestly, like for me, because obviously being ADHD as well, we're really impulsive. We don't tend to save. We're a bit rubbish with money, so we tend to leave it to the last minute. And then we're like, oh crap, like I've got all this to pay for. Then we panic, and then we're like, oh crap, can I do as many shows that I want to do? So with the costs, yes, you can make it cheaper. But I also wouldn't cut corners, like cut corners in the correct places. Like I wouldn't cut corners on your bikini, if I'm honest. You can do it as like buy a second hand, just make sure it fits and just make sure it's for the right federation. Like I work with Bikini Mama, and she's just amazing. I've worked with her for like 7 years now, I think. And she does rentals. So like if I was struggling for money, I would do a rental. I think it's like maybe like 150. So you're saving like so much money with that. And obviously, like memberships, like if you know what federations you're going to have like to compete with, do them at the start of the year. Like you don't need to pay for the actual shows if you're not sure, but just spread the costs through the year. And like the best thing you can probably do is like put a diary in, because again, out of sight, out of mind, you'll forget, especially if you're in prep, and just be like, right, need to pay for this, need to pay for that. Because for ADHD women, it's not so much the cost, it's when we pay it. And it's usually we forget, and then it's like, okay, shit, I'm like a month out and I've not booked this, I've not booked this, I've not booked this. And it's really stressful. And let's be honest, the last 4 weeks of your prep is meant to be the absolute opposite of being stressed. Traveling is a biggie. So I want to talk about that one, because that's something that I really struggled with. And I was very open about that on my social media. And I know a lot of people didn't get it. And it was one of them things that really gave me imposter syndrome. So people always think, oh, is it because you don't like flying? No, I actually love flying. That's not even it. It's the whole packing my suitcase, making sure like it weighs what it's meant to weigh. And then I had the anxiety of like, oh my God, my suitcase is going to go missing, and then I can't compete and I'm spending all this money. The whole airport thing for me, like, just gives me anxiety, especially if it's really busy. And even being in a foreign country, trying to get your food and things like that, it was a big frigging deal for me. Like, and I really struggled. Like the first time I went away, there was a fair few meltdowns, especially when I did Italy. When I say I cried all the way there, I cried when I was there, and I cried when I came back, because it was so overstimulating. Like nothing was on time. It was like things that could go wrong went wrong. But I honestly, negativity feeds negativity. So I do blame myself for a majority of that, because I was allowing myself to spiral, that rather than being like, right, get a grip, breathe, let's sort this out, you know. So the thing with traveling, obviously I needed to get over, because at the end of the day, if I want to be a pro, very little of my shows are going to be in the UK. One, if I'm absolutely lucky, sometimes it'd be none. So with traveling, the best thing you can honestly do is plan ahead. And obviously with my autism, I hate being out of my routine. I hate the unexpected. I need to know everything. And honestly, the best thing you can just do is just be prepared. So I have an Airbnb, always, never a hotel. So I'm fully in control of my cooking. Obviously look at where the shops are, like you know, have a look where the food shops are, you know, have a look at everything, like the gym you're going to go to, have a look at all of it before you go, because honestly it just puts your mind at ease, knowing like, right, okay, I know where this is, like that's going to be fine. Like even in the food shops as well, sometimes it's unclear what things are. Like you can get an app for that now, you can like scan in and it'll tell you and things, do you know what I mean? Have an open mind as well, because one of the things I took for granted was like the shows here are actually quite well organized. Like even when it's running late, we think, oh God, late again. Nothing compared to being abroad. Wow, Italy for me. Oh, honestly, I wanted to die 1,000 deaths that day. Like they don't give you tan times. So like that honestly made my head spiral because I was like, I can't forget it. Went for my tan. They don't give you tanning times and you can't pay by card. So we were like trying to run around trying to find a cash point. So you just need an open mind. And if there's no like tanning times, you're not going to miss it. They're probably going to give it to you like on the desk. Show times, no show times either. So it's like, again, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing. And they usually like you in the venue right at the start. So one of the biggest things that I learned was just have an open mind. It's definitely 1,000,000% not going to run as it says it's going to run. So you just need to have an open mind of like, right, okay, I'm competing today at some time. My tan is going to be sometime. I'm going to go in and ask because all the rest of my shows after Italy was so much better and I handled it so much better. And I honestly think that's why I didn't win my pro card either, was because I generally wasn't ready for it. Like when I went to Ireland, I was calm, I was collected because I knew what to do. I knew like, right, book flights at a time where the airport's not going to be busy. Like when you get there, like pre-book a taxi, check out where the gym is, stay close to the venue. Like I had all this all figured out. So it was the first time that I was fully present. And I enjoyed it because honestly, I think if I got my pro card in any of the other shows, I don't think, obviously I would have loved it because I've been working hard for it and fighting for it, but I just wasn't fully present and I fully did not know what was going on until I was back here and I was like, wow, I can't even remember what happened. Whereas when I won in Ireland, I was so excited. Like it was just that time. I just knew it was that time because I enjoyed it. You know, it was just a really nice time. What else have we got on here? Where I'm at now, that's a big one because I've not done many updates, and you probably noticed that as well. That I've not done many updates on my Instagram. I'm in a much better place. Obviously I finished my prep in May. Best time of my life, obviously. It was my birthday weekend that I won it. It was a lush weekend. And then I started noticing problems. So I noticed like I was bloating really bad. And I think I've normalized it for so many years where I'd reverse, but I'd like macro track. And, you know, we always like to push our luck with macro tracking. So I'd macro track like a cheeky biscuit in there because I'm a freaking biscuit monster. And I'd bloat. I'd be like, oh, well, it's your own fault. Like, you know, you're eating biscuits. What do you expect? And this time around, because obviously I was like so motivated from winning my pro card, I couldn't wait to get back on stage again. I wanted to make the changes needed to come back even better. I remember saying to Josh, like, something is not right. I was only eating whole foods, like, and the scales were just flying up. But I could see it wasn't body fat because I was still like this really lean person. But I looked 10 months pregnant with triplets, and the pain was horrendous. Like it was so bad. It's like, do you know, like you blow out your stomach so much and it's like it starts hurting. It started hurting my back and I was just like, I'm either mental or I'm being a dick in my off plans. I'm being delusional about it because I thought like, I was sat there and I said to Ben, like, am I being delusional? Am I overeating in my off plans? Because why is my scale weight flying up and why is my digestion like this? Like, I was totally like, wow, I'm delusional. I must be delusional. And he was like, no, I wouldn't say you are, like, you started doubting himself. And I was like, wow, this is a lot. So I went and had my bloods done. Turns out I had an underactive thyroid. Underactive thyroid. But that is not like uncommon for prepping. Like I prepped for 14 months. And I just thought like, nah, something else is like happening. Like my face was so puffy. Like even now, I'm still battling with inflammation. Like I could tap my skin and it'd go as if it was like burnt skin. It was like corned beef skin. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term, but it's like reddish, like it's just weird. My hair started falling out. I was getting married, guys. Like honestly, I was getting married in September. I was like, crap, like the way my scales are going up and the puffiness that's happening, I'm not going to fit in my dress. My face was like the moon. And I was just like, it really hit me. And obviously when you have an underactive thyroid, it affects so much as well, like your mood and like your mental health and stuff like that. But with your gut, obviously your immune system's in your gut, like your happy hormones in the gut. So where that was compromised, it was really affecting all of those things, like my mood, and my immune system. I was somebody who would always catch infections really easily and things like that. So I obviously did the GI 360 test done, and I finally got answered, and I cried because I remember all my off seasons, and I just think like, wow, how do I get so fat? Like, it's just, and I look back now and I'm like, do you know what? You're actually not fat. It is literally inflammation. My face was like like about 10 cheeks on my head. Honestly, it was just horrendous. But I normalised it as if it was just body fat and it's normal and it's what needs to be done. And yes, you got to put body fat in, to build, but not to the extent that I was. I felt like a hippopotamus walking around. So yeah, I had the GI test then, came back with leaky gut, and honestly it's probably the hardest thing that you can battle because it's basically your stomach lining is damaged and things like that. But with that, I was having histamine reactions, which was wild to me because this is the first I've heard. I thought histamine was like hay fever, things like that, taking antihistamine and on your way. But the signs started happening in prep, but we generally put it down to really bad hay fever because as soon as I took antihistamine, I was fine. So I was like, oh, I must have really bad hay fever and not be sneezing, which is wild. I look back now and I'm like, what? What are you talking? So yeah, like I was eating a lot of fats because I thought carbs was the problem. So I did remove carbs. It was the problem, but obviously it wasn't the root cause of my problem. And then we had to do like keto style, and I obviously had like a lot of avocado, dark chocolate, and they are really high in histamine. And when I say I was literally suicidal, like I remember waking up and saying to Ben, like, I can't do this. Like, I literally can't wake up like this every single day. Like, I felt like I had no purpose. Like, I was getting married in less than a month, and I was just like, wow. And I remember texting Holly, like, what is going on? And she was like, try and take an antihistamine. Like, she was like, it's not by all means a fix, it's just a short-term thing. And I took it, and my mood just lifted within a few hours, and I was like, wow. Like, I did not realize the effect the gut has on your mental health. Like, how many women out there are on antidepressants because they might have a gut issue, and the doctor is just like, yep, take that, you're fine, off you go. And they never know that there's an actual reason for it, and it can be fixed and you can be yourself again. And I remember my dress fitting, horrendous. I had the biggest flare up. It's worse when I'm due on, obviously, because the hormone shifts and stuff. But I was like a puffer fish. Honestly, I remember thinking, I do not want to go for this dress fitting. And I tried to explain to the lady, but I measured myself. I'm like 3 inches bigger everywhere. Like even my ankles, they were huge. And she just sort of like dismissed me and was like, oh, it happens to the best of us. And I was like, no, like I've got a gut issue. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And my second dress fitting was a week before my wedding. And I know that she wasn't going to do anything in a week. And I thought, this dress isn't going to fit me. It's going to be too big. And when I went, it was like a sack of shit on me. Honestly, I looked in the mirror and I was fighting back tears. And I brought my friend because I was like, Fliss, you're going to have to say something, because usually I would. But when I'm that emotional, I generally won't be able to say anything. It literally looked like I had it off the hanger. Like, my mum paid like £4,000 for it, and like, I've come from nothing, right? Like, my parents don't have anything. Like, so that amount of money is so much. Like, they worked so hard for that money, and I just thought, they've paid all this money and it doesn't fit. Like, are you actually kidding? I just break my heart because I wanted to love it, because I couldn't, on the day of my wedding, if it didn't fit and I hated it, I know my parents would be heartbroken. They've spent all this money and I'm not happy, and I didn't want to come across as if I was ungrateful, because I was entirely grateful that my parents had paid this amount of money out on a wedding dress for me, because I never expected it at all. And she was like, there's nothing I can do. And my friend was like, there absolutely is. So she did what she can, which was honestly the bare minimum. And I didn't have it until the day of my wedding, and it was a sack of shit on me. But that's a story for another day. My wedding was a disaster. But that's a story for another day. But I started, after that, obviously, I was able to then fix my gut a little bit more direct, obviously, because of the wedding and things. It was so much going on that I couldn't really commit to a gut health, obviously, journey. So as soon as the wedding was done, I did. And I started feeling better almost instantly, but honestly, my recovery and things, it's only been this month that my recovery has been fab, and I've been able to like push a little bit more. They say that you're not meant to push really hard because of obviously the information that drives up from like the stress on the body, like the oxidative stress. But I am training a little bit harder just purely for my own sanity, because I was witnessing the muscle deteriorating off my body, and I was just like, I can't stand to watch this, and for my mental health I need it. But it's been a journey. Like it's so much better now. If you've seen my Instagram, I did do a little bit of an update, but it wasn't a physique update because I'm still not happy with how I look completely. And I will eventually put an update, because I do want to be real with you all of where I'm at. But even though I look so much better, like I'm a lot leaner in my arms and things, because it wasn't that I was holding fat, I was literally holding so much inflammation, which was wild. It was just everywhere, and it's just horrendous. But I am in a much better space now. Like my foods before was literally chicken, mince, salad, olive oil. It was so restrictive, it was horrendous, and I'm in a much better place where I'm eating more. And obviously because I'm eating more, I'm recovering better, my training's better, my mood is better. But I'm glad to let you all know that it's only the water retention and inflammation I've got. It's more with my legs. Trusty ChatGPT says it's edema, but I don't really know what to do with that information. I'm doing all I can. And obviously I spoke to Mia. Like, Mia's my bestie, you probably know her. She's obviously the wellness IFBB Pro. She's amazing. I love her so much because she will never beat around the bush when she tells me things. She's so direct, and I'm so here for her. She's definitely on the spectrum as well. I tell her all the time because it's so like, but she's very direct, and it's what I need to know. And it's easy to slip into victim mentality when this happens, where it's like, right, you can't train, you can't do this, you've got no goal. It's a bit like, wow, my whole identity has just been ripped apart. And I lost myself. And she was like, well, you need to start doing things that you can do your posing, like, get better at it, like keep posting it. So that's what I've been doing. I've obviously, I joined Mia's team, got a posing page now. I think it's Lori Proflow, should probably know that. And I'm just like really focusing on the things that I can do, and I'm grateful for the things that I've got, rather than focusing on the things that I don't have or I can't do. Because honestly, and especially with the neurodivergent women, we are such perfectionists. We always think about the things that we cannot do. And that's the quickest way to feel depressed, honestly. Just focusing on things you haven't got yet and you can't do. Like my mindset have shifted since just focusing on what I can do, like doing these podcasts, like helping more women, doing my posing because I absolutely love it, helping other girlies get on stage because I friggin' love what I do. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like I'm in a really good place. I'm working with a gut specialist at the minute. I'm hoping to be back with Josh in May to really nail down the timeline because I need it. And I don't know if bikini is going to be my journey anymore, because I'm thinking I might go to fit model. We chatted about it. We initially thought I would be too big for it, but Janet has come back and she's like my icon. It was like, oh, she's amazing. She's going from bikini to fit model, and I thought, well, she's bigger than me, so I'm gonna see how the pros do this year. And if I'm not too big, that because I don't want to downsize, I worked really hard for what I've got. In my opinion, I think I'll still need to grow quite a bit. So that's where I think my journey will lead to the next time I step on stage. And I think a lot of people think like, oh, it's the easy option, but it's not. It's the healthiest option for me. These bikini games are going huge now. So if I have to take half the peds and protect my health, because this health shake up shit me up, honestly, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the healthiest thing. And if I can be the very best in the UK, then why wouldn't I do that? So yeah, that's all the things about competing. Let me know if I missed anything. If you've got any questions for me based on what I've spoken about, please just send me a DM or a WhatsApp message. If my number is on my Instagram, so you're more than welcome to message me. But yeah, I've hoped you enjoyed my podcast, and we will be recording episode 3 soon.